Hey guys, coming back for Arrow, Season 4, Episode 15, Taken, and guys, I was really looking forward to this episode. Last week's, like I said, was an action overload. I didn't think there were a bit too many action scenes and there was a bit too much going on last week, but this week, I was really looking forward to. I knew Vixen was going to be in this episode. I knew we were going to focus on William, Oliver's son, being taken, and this by far was the best episode of the season. I mean, this episode was incredible. There were so many great scenes in this episode, and the perfect time for them to go on a hiatus. Not quite as big as a reveal as what happened in The Flash, but still just as great. Love this episode. Let's just get into it because there's a lot to get into, and like I said, a lot did happen in this episode. And something I like, guys, that there were barely any flashbacks whatsoever. I mean, I don't really remember having a lot of flashbacks in this episode, and that's something I'm happy about because I'm not going to talk about them, really. I don't really want to talk about them. I don't really think they're important for this episode, and let's just get into it. So we see the surgeons have planted Curtis's implant into Felicity's spine. As we know, there was that device that Curtis made that could help her walk again. And Oliver and Paul start to help her walk, but she gets out of her wheelchair but falls back. It's not working. Paul says that Curtis came in with tendonitis and all he cared about was results. Eventually, Paul got Curtis focused on healing. He tells Felicity that it takes time, and it's a good scene. You see that they're trying to work with her. I like seeing that. I thought that was a good way to start off. And then we see 5 years ago, Oliver warns Tiana that again that Raider will kill all the prisoners once he has what he wants. Raider comes in, says that he wants them both at his side when he claims his prize. The mercenaries lead them out, and then back in the present, as Oliver and Felicity go to their car in the parking garage, Felicity misses. She's still disappointed and had hope for the best, and Oliver assures her that it isn't stupid. Darhk steps out of the shadows just out of nowhere, and Oliver goes after him. Darhk paralyzes him with a gesture, then releases him. He says that things are over between them, points out that nothing he did stopped Oliver. Oliver's cell phone rings, and Darhk tells him to answer it, and right away he realizes that it's a video of William at Darhk's house, and Darhk says that William thinks that he's his mother's friend, and Neil McDonough, I mean, he is just awesome in this role, I have to say, and you really got to see that again here. Darhk gets into his car. He tells Oliver to drop out of the mayoral race. Literally said that's what you need to do because, since his wife is running, since Rue is running. And Felicity wonders who William is, obviously, and Oliver says that he's his son. He basically is forced to tell her, and I like the way this came up. You knew this conversation was going to come up. You knew that Felicity and Oliver, they were going to talk about William, and this whole situation was going to come up. And it wasn't as crazy as I thought it was going to be, but it was still just as sad, definitely. Back in the bunker, Oliver tries to explain, but Felicity doesn't want to hear him lie again because, and honestly, I know a lot of people dislike this side of Felicity when she gets angry and pissed off, but she has a right to be angry. They made an agreement last season that they were not going to lie to each other anymore, and that they were going to be honest, and that he wasn't going to keep things from her, and that's exactly what he did here. Now, granted, this wasn't Oliver's fault. This was Samantha that told him to keep the secret from Felicity, but she doesn't know that yet. She just knows that he's had the secret that he hasn't told her, and obviously she's really upset about it. And she has a right to be upset, especially since she's marrying him. And I don't think I'd say it'd be as justified if they weren't getting married, but because they're getting married, he shouldn't lie to her. He should tell her what's going on. So Oliver says that Samantha made a condition that he couldn't tell anyone about William's existence, and Felicity points out that the plan didn't work, and Laura and the others arrive in response to Oliver's call. Felicity tells him that Darhk is holding a 10-year-old hostage, and Oliver tells Thea to have Alex schedule a press conference when Darhk specified, and then tells his team that the hostage is William, and Felicity offers to call in Barry in William's hometown of Central City, and realizes that Barry knows about William as well, that, he knows about him. So you can tell why Felicity feels very betrayed. I mean, Barry knows, even Thea knows, everyone knows pretty much except for her, and Oliver admits that Malcolm knows as well, and he's going to contact him. And I mean, Malcolm knows. That's really what it is. Malcolm knows over her, and she obviously is very upset about that. So Samantha arrives upstairs at the campaign office. Oliver goes up to talk to her. I was very happy to see Samantha again because I like the actress, first of all, and I like seeing the scene between her and Oliver, and they had a lot to deal with, and I like that we did get to see her because I thought that Darhk had killed her. And I'm very happy that he didn't because that would have been really dumb if the person in the grave would have been Samantha, which I'm glad we didn't get the person in the grave in this episode because I thought we were going to, but I don't think it's time yet to do that. I think we need to wait a little bit before that happens, and I'm glad that we didn't see that in this episode. So In the office, Alex tells Oliver that Samantha showed up. He remembers her name from the check and figures that it's connected to Thea's text that Oliver's pulling out of the race. And Oliver talks to Samantha privately, says he's trying to track down William, and she figures that her son's disappearance had something to do with Oliver. And Samantha demands answers. Obviously, she wants answers. And Oliver says she needs to tell him what happened. She says that William disappeared from their house 48 hours ago, and she doesn't know what happened since. So she thinks that Oliver had something to do with this. And Barry told her that she needed to talk to Oliver, and Oliver says that he will do everything in his power to get William back. And when Samantha wonders what he can do, Oliver says that he's Green Arrow. He literally just tells her that he's the Green Arrow, which I understand why he had to tell her. I mean, obviously, that's what this is all about. That this is about that he's the Green Arrow and Darhk is his enemy, obviously. And that's something that she just needs to know. That's why he had to leave. And I'm surprised he told her straight out. But you know what? She's had enough time to process things. It's time for him to tell her. And I'm glad that they didn't make a huge deal out of it. And Oliver takes Samantha down to the bunker, introduced her to the team. Samantha remembers Laurel and says it was one time that she was with Oliver, and she knew Oliver and Laurel were together, and I like this scene, because, you know, her and Laurel have a lot to deal with, obviously, because remember when Oliver was with Laurel, he cheated on her with Samantha, and she apologized for not being honest with Laurel. Laurel says that Oliver's the one who should have been honest. Felicity reports that the CCPD have nothing, and Diggle points out that they've been beaten by Darhk every time they fought him, and this time they need something stronger, and Oliver figures that they need to fight harder. But Felicity warns that they need a strategy, and Diggle suggests that they contact Constantine, but Oliver warns that he's not available, so they can't use him. And however, he does suggest that he contacts Mari McCabe, who, if you know who that is, that of course is Vixen. She calls herself Vixen, which I did not get a chance to watch the Vixen web series. I saw like the first 2 episodes. Really good stuff overall. I just really didn't get a chance to watch it, but I don't really think you need to. They did it so if you hadn't seen Vixen before, you didn't really need to, because we get kind of like a reintroduction to her. We see in Detroit 3 Skeels run down the street and duck into a building. Animal sounds echo behind them as they shoot wildly, and one of them trips and falls. The other 2 keep running, and something grabs one of them from the shadow. The last one calls on their attacker to come out. Vixen steps out of the shadow. She slams the Skeel across the room. Green Arrow wounds the last man as he draws a gun on Vixen. Once he's down, Green Arrow explains that he needs her help, and it's a good scene. I like seeing that. It definitely makes me think that we're going to see Vixen more. And honestly, after this, I do want to see Vixen more. I know that she has her own show on the web series, but those are 5-minute episodes, so they could do something where they get her on the Flash and Arrow. We just need her on the Flash because obviously she worked with the Flash as well, so I'm pretty sure this is not the only time we're going to see Vixen. We're going to see her again. So Oliver takes Vixen to the bunker. Laurel greets her. Diggle, Thea, and Felicity introduce themselves, and Oliver introduces Samantha, and basically Vixen says that she'll track down William using her magical totem, which lets her channel the spirit of any animal. Samantha provides an action figure that William owns, and she picks up the boy's scent, which I thought was really cool the way she could do this, and she then tells and again, this is kind of how they reintroduced us to her, because for someone who didn't see the show, they don't really know of Vixen's abilities. Well, this did show us her abilities. She then tells the others that William's in Star City and she can find him. Oliver coordinates the others and asks Felicity to sit with Samantha, and I thought that was good because they have a lot to talk about. So back to 5 years ago, Raider goes to the entrance that the prisoners have excavated. As he feels the energy, the lights flicker. Raider says that it's his destiny. The figure of Conklin steps out, says that they are something much greater than destiny. And then back in the present, Thea returns home, tells Malcolm to step out. She knows the Green Arrow cut off his hand, and Thea points out that Malcolm was unwilling to give up the League to save her. And Malcolm insists that he was going to save her and keep the League, and Thea asks if he told Darhk about William. Her father refuses to answer because we know that he did, but he doesn't feel right with telling her, obviously, because this is his daughter, and he cares about her more than anything, and she saying that she should know him better. He insists that he will always love Thea no matter what, and leaves. And she has a right to be upset. She really does. I mean, he's really changed since the last time they met, and I understand why she would be really upset with him. She has a right to be, and I like these scenes here. I thought they were some of the strongest scenes of the episode, definitely were between Thea and Malcolm, definitely. So, Vixen flies through the city looking for William. Diggle and Green Arrow watch her from a rooftop, and Diggle says he understands why his friend did what he did, that he's not upset with him, and I like that a lot of people tried to justify what Oliver was doing. They, admit that it's the past, and now he's moved on, and now they know why things had to go the way they did, and basically Oliver admits that William was safer when he didn't know about him, and Diggle tells him that he'll eat himself up considering possibilities. He says that he pulls off being a parent because Sarah knows that he's there for her and would never let anything bad happen to her. And it's a really good scene because Diggle knows what it's like to be a parent, and Oliver really didn't at the time. And Diggle says that parents keep their children safe, by keeping them close, and keeping William away is basically the thing that's, put him in danger, is the fact that they kept him away from this. Because if he would have told him and stayed close to him, then things could be different. But Oliver wasn't the man he was today back then, we have to remember. He was way different. He wasn't really, he was a bachelor. He was, didn't really care as much. And that's why things have just turned out the way they have, because of things he's done in his past. And I like seeing that. That's really been the theme of this season, is all how Oliver has changed. And again, they really do show that here. So in the bunker, Samantha describes William's clothing when he disappeared. Felicity works up a profile, and Samantha says that Oliver wanted to tell Felicity, but she didn't let him, and that it's not Oliver's fault. I like that Samantha was defending Oliver, because I thought that Samantha was going to be pissed at Oliver, but no, she understands that Oliver wanted to tell Felicity, and she didn't get to, and she feels bad about it. It's because she knows that Felicity, he cares about her, and she asks Felicity, remember, that she's the one who made Oliver choose, and I think Felicity understands this. It's just she's upset with Oliver because he didn't need to listen to Samantha. He could have told her. I mean, it really wouldn't have done anything differently. And the difference between this and the whole thing going on with Lance and Felicity's mom last week is because, and Donna last week, is because of the fact that that whole situation was not as big or as complicated as this one is. And this is just a lot more complicated. This situation happened years ago. This is something that Oliver really didn't feel comfortable with. He was very embarrassed by it. He wanted to tell her, but he just couldn't do it because he made this agreement with Samantha and he keeps his promises. And he wasn't necessarily lying to Felicity, but he just couldn't really tell her what was going on. And he didn't really tell her the truth of what happened, because she could tell that something definitely happened with him during that time travel. And plus, Barry said you can't tell Felicity. He said that as well, because if you remember, before Barry changed time, everybody died. So that's why he couldn't tell Felicity either. So at the station, Lance tells Laurel that he has his men searching for William. He's not surprised that Oliver had his son, and Laurel explains that Samantha was with Oliver at the same time Oliver was with her. And Lance hugs her, and Oliver calls to tell Laurel that he knows where William's being held, and I still think that Lance is going to be the one to get killed. I mean, just the way this is going, I really do think that's what's going to happen. Green Arrow and Spartan check the roof of the target building. Vixen moves into position, and Green Arrow takes a line across, attacks the guards. Black Canary and Thea break in and fight more guards. Meanwhile, Green Arrow smashes in through Darhk's window. Darhk says that William is in line and he had him moved 2 minutes ago. He points out that the hero's arrows are useless against him, and Vixen leaps in, attacks Darhk, and just the fact they had Vixen, I mean, was just awesome, because this is a whole new layer to the team they haven't had before. I mean, Vixen can do so much that Constantine couldn't. Constantine can just summon the dead, while Vixen can do a lot more, and Darhk laughs, paralyzes both heroes, recognizes her totem, knocks her across the room, and she comes back. She summons the strength of a gorilla, breaks Darhk's hold on her. Darhk knocks her away. Green Arrow attacks him. The two men fight, and Darhk sends Green Arrow flying through a window with a gesture. Vixen grabs him. By the time she pulls him up, Vixen says that she's lost Darhk and William, and they've failed. So back at the bunker, Oliver tells Samantha that they failed. Darhk calls up Oliver, tells him to drop out of the race immediately and endorse Ruve, which it is a good way to do this. I thought it was a negotiable way, but it's the one thing that Oliver really doesn't want to do. He wants to keep his promises. He doesn't want to disappoint his city, and he wants to be mayor so he can fix the city. If you remember, that's the whole reason he wants to be mayor, so he can fix the city, so he can turn things around and show that the Green Arrow is a good guy. Or if you remember, he's very concerned about the Green Arrow's reputation. So I completely understand why Oliver isn't really okay with dropping out, and Oliver tells the others what happened, and basically Marty apologized for falling and suggests that Darhk has some kind of totem like hers. Lance arrives, says that he saw an idol that Darhk kept close. He goes in a drive for Marty, and Oliver tells the others that he has to save William, and basically 5 years ago, Raider has one of his mercenaries open fire on the Guardian wearing Conklin's image. The bullets have no effect on Raider or his men out. However, he locks Oliver and Tyon in the room, and the Guardian advances on them. The Guardian looks at Oliver in recognition, then says that he's worthy to pass, and the Guardian disappears. And the rune on Oliver's stomach just glows red for some reason, and we don't know why, but basically that's what's going on with that. So Oliver then begins his press conference, says that now he has inspired Ruve to run. He's dropping out of the campaign and giving her his full support. He thanks his supporters, ends the conference, and he really has no other choice, because he knows that he's not getting his son back unless he drops out of the race. So basically the next day, Alex is packing things away when Oliver comes in, and the good thing about it is that we don't need to see Alex anymore. Alex is a character that has never really worked for me. He's been there for Oliver. They tried to do this thing between him and Thea, and I hope that after this we don't see him anymore, because he hasn't really been working. He tells Oliver Oliver that Oliver was leading and demands an explanation. Oliver says that he's sorry that he can't give one, and they shake, and Alex goes out past Felicity. She comes in. She tells Oliver that Samantha explained about her ultimatum, and Oliver insists that he wanted Felicity part of William's life and that he should have kept William close to keep him safe. And Maddie calls and texts that she has something. And back at the bunker, Maddie says that a friend of hers at Detroit University, Professor McAllister, recognized the idol that Lance drew. It's a Kushu idol, and its power requires a constant connection to a Lee line. And Marty explains the idol lets Darhk tap into the magic, and Diggle figures that Darhk is near one of the lie lines. And Samantha asks why Darhk isn't giving William back and doesn't believe that Oliver when he says everything will be fine, because she doesn't think everything's gonna be fine. She knows that there definitely is things to worry about and that things aren't gonna be as great as Oliver thinks they are. And I do agree with her that not everything's gonna be alright. And Oliver thinks they will be, but no, really not everything's gonna be alright. And even though Oliver thinks it's gonna be, I don't think everything's gonna be alright. I really do agree with her on that. So I don't really believe that everything's gonna be alright either. So Oliver walks away, Monty goes after him. He explains that Darhk took Felicity, Diggle, and Thea earlier, and Darhk didn't live up to the end of his bargain to trade them for Oliver. Monty says that they'll get William back and tells Oliver to consider that letting William go would be better. You know, he's not a part of William's life, and just suddenly having him be a part of William's life is not the best idea. I mean, you're putting a lot of pressure on the kid, and she explains that she grew up in a foster home, and she realized that she wasn't ready for the truth as a child, that, you know, she wouldn't really have comprehended it, she probably wouldn't have taken it as seriously, and knowing now is the better thing to do. And Monty says that William can't carry the burden away anywhere and tells Oliver to let his son keep his child as long as he can. And again, like I said, I really felt they explored Maddie's character very well here. We understand what she's going through, we show as she's grown, and I think they did that very well. So Thea calls him over. Felicity says that Darhk moves the idol around. However, she's pinpointed him in a compound in Sky Woods. Darhk calls and tells Oliver that William be at Nelson Plaza in 3 hours. The others want to go after Darhk, and Oliver asks Samantha for her input. She says that William is Oliver's son as well and tells Oliver to get William back and take Darhk out. And I like that Samantha has brought herself to realize really what she needs to do, that she can't always be the one to save her son, and that Oliver needs to do these things. And I like seeing that. I thought that was a good scene, and I definitely enjoyed that. So basically, we then see the team storms the compound, takes out the ghost, which, let me say, you guys know how I've been saying that these action scenes have been very underwhelming this season and that they haven't been as strong as they could be. By far, the strongest action scenes were in this episode. They all were great. I really loved them. Vixen smashes through the roof, confronts Darhk, he throws her across the room, and the visual effects here were fantastic. She grabs the idol and escapes. The ghosts close in on Green Arrow, Speedy, and Black Canary arrive. Darhk comes out, chokes them with his magic. Vixen joins Spartan in the woods. Felicity reports that Dark's powers are undeterred, and Felicity tells her to go to plan B. Vixen starts smashing the idol, and William runs out, tells Darhk to stop hurting the others. Vixen finally destroys the idol. Darhk loses his magic. Green Arrow attacks him, soon takes him down. The police arrive, and Green Arrow looks at William for a moment. He nods to the boy and leaves. Just the police cars show up, and to William, this is just a random encounter that he just saved him because he was out there, and it's a good scene because Oliver knows he can't really do anything here. He can't tell William who he is. He doesn't have an emotional connection to him because William doesn't feel him that way. He just feels he's some guy in a suit that he knows from his action figures. So, later, Samantha, Oliver, and Thea go to get William at the station. William says he wants a Green Arrow action figure now, and Samantha says that the hero is very amazing. Because if you remember, he really wasn't a fan of the Green Arrow. He didn't think the Green Arrow was as strong as the Flash, and now he knows that. It's a good arc for the character. I like seeing that. I mean, some people may think it's a bit cheesy, but I think it really does work. I mean, like I said, a big part of the show is how the public personifies Green Arrow, and William didn't see him as a hero, but now he does, and basically Lance tells Oliver that the man who took William had a missing hand, and that's very interesting. We found this out, whoever this is, they had a missing hand, and so Oliver definitely knows that since Malcolm has a missing hand, Oliver's definitely thinking this could be Malcolm, so that's very interesting. And me personally, I definitely think that's telling us that maybe Malcolm is going to be the one to kill someone. I mean, knowing Oliver needs to take them out, setting this up definitely makes me think, you know what, maybe Oliver's going to kill Malcolm. It would make sense. Darhk, yes, is a threat, but Malcolm is the one really doing all the dirty work. So, definitely take out Malcolm. That's probably the way to end it. I definitely think that's where we're headed, that he's going to end up killing Malcolm. So 5 years ago, Raider re-enters the room and says that he had faith that Oliver would have survived. He insists on taking Oliver with him and Tayana to use as a hostage, and I don't really care about the flashbacks. I don't. Some episodes I do, some I don't, and this one I really didn't. So Oliver then leaves the station, meets with Maddie. He thanks her for, well, Conklin's disappeared now. I'll say that. That's really the only thing that's interesting there. So Oliver leaves the station, meets with Maddie. He thanks her for her help. Maddie says that the best thing her parents did or give her was freedom. She tells Oliver to call her if he needs her and leaves. And it's a good, I like seeing this character. I hope we see her again. Honestly, I'd like to see her upgraded maybe next year. Maybe give her a few more appearances in season 5, because I'm pretty sure there will be one, obviously. Give her a few more appearances. Give her a little bit more to do. I'd like to see more of this character. And I know, of course, they are going to do probably more of Vixen on CW Seed, which I do want to check out. Definitely after this episode, I want to check out Vixen overall. But I like this character. I like what they did with her, and I think they used her really, really well. They did a good job of doing what The Flash didn't. What The Flash did with Diggle was just have him there because they wanted to get better ratings and just wanted Diggle to be on the show. They really didn't do anything with him. Maddie, however, they really used her very well. They reintroduced us to the character. They explored pretty much every side of the character that we need to see and really showed why she needed to be in this episode. Someone needed to tell Oliver that keeping William back is the best thing to do, and Maddie, knowing from prior experience the way that went, was the perfect person to do that, and I think they handled all that really, really well. I definitely really appreciate that. So Thea returns home to where Malcolm is waiting, says that she knows he took William. Malcolm insists that he did it to protect them, and Thea says that there is no us to protect, that she, he doesn't need to protect her. She says that Robert raised her and loved her, and she wishes she didn't throw it away when Malcolm revealed that he was her biological father, and in many ways, she has a right to be upset, because she was the one that decided to work with Malcolm. She wanted Malcolm to be in her life, and now she really doesn't want him to be there. And furious, Malcolm tells Thea that she would be dead 10 times over if not for him, and he turned her into a warrior. He warns that she has no idea what they're up against, and he'd rather she hate him and be alive than dead, and I don't know, guys. The way this is headed, maybe Thea's gonna be the one to die. I mean, what Malcolm is saying to her and everything. If Malcolm kills her, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I'm gonna say this. Malcolm's probably the killer if whoever dies, and I really think that it could be Thea. I do. I know I said Lance before, but after this, I don't know. Maybe it is Thea. I really could see that happening. So, if Thea dies, I mean, honestly, I think that's a possibility. So Oliver makes a video message for William, explains that he's his biological father. He admits he hasn't earned the right to be William's true father because he hasn't been there for him. And at home, Diggle holds Sarah. Laura and Lance have a takeout at Lance's office, and Oliver says that he failed to keep William safe, and now he's going to tell him why. And this, I thought, was an incredible scene. I love the way this was done. He admits that he's Green Arrow, explains that his life is dangerous. What happened to William in Star City is his fault, and he won't let it happen again. And Oliver has asked Samantha to move far away and tell no one, including Oliver. And in the car, William looks at his Green Arrow action figure, basically realizing that he is a true hero, and Oliver says that he asked Samantha to show William the message after his 18th birthday. He wanted to give William a real childhood and says goodbye, and it's hard for him to do, but he needs to wait till his 18th birthday. That's what Maddie said would be the best thing to do. He's gonna take Maddie's advice, and I like seeing that. I thought that was a great scene. I like that he took her advice. I like that he didn't try to do his own thing. But then we get probably the most heartbreaking moment of the season. I really thought that this was heartbreaking. I mean, yes, Felicity getting shot was heartbreaking, but it didn't really do much. She was in a wheelchair, but this really is probably Oliver's worst fear happens here. So Felicity comes over, says they need to talk. She takes off her engagement ring and says that she can't do it anymore. Now that she's had some space, now we know in the flash forward she doesn't have an engagement ring. We know that. And she says now that she's had some space, she's realized that she needs space, and Oliver should have told her, and he didn't. Felicity doesn't think that Oliver can include her, and he left her out of the decision to send William away. Her legs move, and Felicity discovers just out of nowhere that she can stand up, and it's the perfect moment. She can now walk out and basically have some time to herself, and she says that she needs to take some time to herself and think about things, and she's not ending it with Oliver. I'm not going to say that she just ended it with Oliver, because she didn't. What I do think she needs to do is really process how to go about this. She can't get married now because she just knows that this huge secret that Oliver's keeping from her, and she really doesn't know how to handle this. And I think this is really showing that Felicity is maturing. She's not just going to get mad at Oliver to get mad at Oliver. I don't really think that she was mad at him here. I think she was more just conflicted. She understands why Oliver had to protect this promise from her and that he wanted to keep the promise to Samantha, but the fact that everyone knew except her, that obviously really hurt her. And I think they really handled this very well. I'm really with Felicity on this. I understand why Felicity is upset. She has a right to be, and I don't think that we should get upset that she is upset because, like I said, I really do think that she has a right to be upset. Honestly, she does. So, I really did love this episode, I have to say. I thought this was an amazing episode. Some great stuff in this one. Especially the stuff with Oliver and, just Oliver and William and Samantha. That's a very complicated situation, but I like the way they're handling this. He can't be in William's life right now. It's just too complicated. He's too young. He won't understand it, and waiting till his 18th birthday is the best thing to do. Now, my biggest question, though, is we do know that Connor Hawkins eventually ends up in 2046, because we know that from Legend of Tomorrow. So what does that have to do with Oliver? That's kind of what I want to know, is what's going on there. Now, we're going to find that out, in tonight's episode, Legends of Tomorrow, but I don't know why I'm bringing this up. It just sounds like something that's very interesting, so I'm interested in seeing maybe what happens there. But that whole situation is very interesting. And the whole thing between Oliver and Felicity, like I said, I understand why she's upset. She has reasons to be upset. He didn't tell her what she wanted to know. He didn't keep the promise. And even though he wanted to tell her, he didn't. And that's why she's upset. It's not so much that he didn't tell her. It's the fact that he could have and he didn't. And he just chose to listen to Samantha over her. Because he didn't necessarily need to listen to Samantha. He just wanted to keep his promise because he just wanted to do a good thing. And Barry even told him, don't tell Felicity. So we'll have to see where that goes. If I did have to have one complaint with this episode, and it's not really much one, is that we don't really hear a lot about Diggle's encounter with the Flash, mainly because it didn't really do anything for him. Like, he helped him take down King Shark, that really was it. I think that's why we didn't really get a lot with that in this episode. It wasn't a huge deal, and I'm fine with that. Let's talk about Vixen, because I really do love Maddie's character. I think she's awesome. I think that the woman that plays her, I can't think of her name right now, but she really does an incredible job. I hope we see more of her as the show goes on, because I think she's a great character. She's good for Oliver when he needs her, and I like seeing that. Darhk is definitely, they're not done with Darhk. We know that for a fact. Oliver's now dropped out of the mayoral race. There's definitely something more that Darhk is going to do, because we know that Darhk's main mission is to take the one that means the most to Oliver, and he did that, but there's more out there, definitely. What else is Darhk's plan? We'll have to see what happens there, because he's definitely not done with Oliver. We know that for a fact. But in terms of who's dying, like I said, I do think that this person that Oliver has to kill is going to end up being Malcolm. I don't think it's going to be, Darhk. I think it's going to be Malcolm. I think Malcolm's going to kill someone. I'm thinking Thea. I think Thea's gonna die, that she's gonna try to kill Malcolm because she wants him out of her life, and she's gonna try to put him to a stop or something. I'm not really sure. We'll have to see what happens with that, but I do think that Thea could kill Malcolm. Or they could turn this around and have Malcolm die by Darhk, but I don't really know why that would affect all of them, so that really wouldn't make sense. So it's definitely not Malcolm, because Malcolm is definitely someone that no one really trusts right now, and no one really wants to ally with, because they know that Malcolm is definitely working with Darhk. They have all the evidence, they have all the clues, they know that definitely is Malcolm, so there's no doubt in Oliver's mind that this is Malcolm. He knows it's Malcolm, he doesn't need to even think about it, he knows it's Malcolm. But then you have Thea, who really seems like she doesn't even trust him anymore. She doesn't want him to be her father, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up killing Thea because she tries to kill him. That would definitely be interesting. On the other hand, there's also Lance, who's working with Darhk. So is Darhk going to try to get Lance involved with something? I'm not really sure. That's very interesting. What's going to happen with that? I mean, there really are a lot of possibilities as to what Darhk could do next, because we really don't know what Darhk's next mission is. We just know that he was not successful in killing William. He was not successful in that. So we'll have to see really what ends up happening next. Definitely that's going to be very interesting. Samantha, I think we are going to see again. I don't think this is the only time we see her this season. I do feel like we're going to see her again at some point this season. I don't know when, but I do feel like we're going to see her again. I can't think that this is the end. I definitely think there's going to be more going on there. We'll have to see. Maybe she gets a hold of the tape. Maybe we'll find out. I'm not really sure, but I don't think this is the end we're seeing of Samantha. I think we are going to see this character again, which I'm happy about because I really do like this character and I want to see more of her. But overall, guys, love this episode. Amazing stuff. By far best episode of the season. Episodes like this is the reason why I love Arrow as much as I do. I mean, just an incredible episode overall. So much great scenes. So many great scenes. So many great just... so many great, like, realizations in this episode, some really powerful scenes, definitely. I know some people have said it's stupid that Felicity can automatically walk, but it would make sense. I mean, when she is pulled to her breaking point, has this just adrenaline rush, she can finally walk because she's willing to. She's willing to walk. She now no longer has to worry about their wedding, and I think because of that, that's why she was able to walk out like she did. But overall, guys, let me know what you guys saw this episode. Amazing episode overall. Absolutely loved it, and we'll see you guys in my next video, which will will be for, I think, either a movie review or for Pretty Little Liars, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.